thank each and every one of you for being here today. My name is Henry Fields, and I'm a Career Center representative. I work for a company called U.S. Vets, or U.S. Vets Incorporated. It's the largest veteran organization, nonprofit, here in the United States. And the reason why I'm here is because I was invited to speak today. So I'd like to thank Ever for inviting me to speak. And I would also like to thank Professor Sampelli. I think she's amazing. In doing some preparation before I got here, I had a chance to just to take a look at some of the books that she's written. She's written a book called From Sabotage to Success. And she's written another book I had a chance to read called Reach Your True Potential. Both of these books are amazing reads. They're books about how to change your life. And how to change your life is exactly what we do at U.S. Vets. Not only for veterans, but there are also programs where there's civilians there, women and children. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how I got to U.S. Vets. But before I talk a little bit about how I got to U.S. Vets, I would like to recommend, like I said before, both of these books that I read, Professor Sampelli's. Again, they talk about changing your life. And changing people's lives is what you're going to be doing if you're going into human services. Also, you're at a pivotal point as students right now who want to work in human services. I applaud you for being here. I applaud you for the time and the effort that you're putting in. For those who are new to college, I also was new to college at one point. When I did go back to school, I did use the community college system here. And when I went back to school at age, I believe it was 31. And I sat next to a young lady, and I was looking around my first day of school. I'm looking around, and this young lady was chewing gum. She had to be about 18 or 19. I looked around the classroom, and it looked just like the classroom here. And when I looked on the board, it was an English class. When I looked on the board, I saw the sentence on the board. And as a 31-year-old veteran, I was just immediately out of my comfort zone, because it was my first day being in school in maybe 15 years, 15 to 20 years. And I wasn't born in the computer age, so I just felt out of place. I felt like school wasn't for me. I felt like college wasn't for me. So when I went home that night, I immediately told myself, I'm not going back there. No, I'm not going back. Nothing's making me go back there. I'm not going back, you know. So the next morning I woke up, I'm shaving my face, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I just remembered some of the books and some of the things that I read from when I was a kid. And even when I was a kid, I had never been a quitter. And so what I did, what I'd like to do is pass around some of the books that I read as a kid. Pass them around. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Please. Those are some comic books that I bought as a kid. You'll probably notice the dates on some of the sides of them. They date me. Some of them are from 1978. Spider-Man from 1978. Spider-Woman from 1980. But these comic books were the books that kept me out of gangs. Again, I grew up in Compton, California, and in the early 80s, there was a lot of pressure, peer pressure, for young boys to join gangs. I was asked to join the Crips in the 3rd grade. I was asked to join the Crips. But, again, I had my comic books. So the way that I would try to stay cool with the other boys was to bring my comic books to school with me. And during recess, instead of hanging with the other boys, I would go to the library and kind of hang there. So the comic books are really what gave me the self-esteem not to be a follower. So as I progressed through school, the gang problems never stopped, but also there came the crack epidemic. And the crack epidemic was crazy. It was crazy in Compton. I'm quite sure you guys know the same as Long Beach. Same thing was happening in Compton was happening in Long Beach. So, I've witnessed, police brutality. I've witnessed friends that were shot, killed. I've had people in my classroom who sat behind me in class that I knew were killers. I'm talking, 7th grade, 8th grade, I knew boys sitting behind me that had literally beat somebody to death with their friends, ran off and jumped somebody and beat them and killed them, and then came back to school and all the rumors were around. So trust me, I understand that there's pressure with growing up here in the LBC, But what I want to commend you on, like I said before, is the same way that I grew up and I wasn't a quitter, no one in here is a quitter. No one in here is a quitter. That's what makes me happy to be here today. That's what makes me happy to talk to you today. It makes me happy to tell you that you are doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing by being here. It also lets me know that miracles are going to continue to happen for you. They're going to continue to happen in your life. The reason why they're going to continue to happen for you, the reason why they're going to continue to happen in your life is because you're going to see them working in human services. Working in human services, your eyes are going to see so much. The job that you do is going to be so rewarding that even though you are going to be able to make a nice living, even though you're going to be able to provide for yourself and your families, the work that you do is going to be so fulfilling to you that the paycheck is going to be secondary. You see, to work in human services, you have to genuinely love people. You have to genuinely love helping others. If you genuinely love what you do, you won't work a day in your life. I guarantee that. You will not work one day in your life. So what we're going to do first we're going to go to the flyer that I gave you all, this one here. We're going to go to this flyer. I'm going to just briefly explain a little bit more about myself and my education. I went to, first of all, graduating from high school was pretty tough for me. Again, I graduated from Dominguez High School in 1987, and back then, my high school, Dominguez High, had a graduation rate of, I believe, 27%. 27%. That means out of every 100 freshmen class, only 27 of those 100 would make it all the way as a senior and graduate. Now what happens back then is kind of the same thing that's happening now, not only in Compton, but in schools in Long Beach as well. There's high teenage pregnancy rates, there's gang problems, there's drug use amongst our youth. There's a lot of reasons why kids are dropping out of school. A lot of reasons. One of the biggest reasons in Compton, though, was reading. A lot of the boys definitely did not like to see the other boys reading. When I was in the 3rd grade, boys liked the fact that I had the comic books, but they didn't like the fact that I was reading. They didn't like that. And when the teacher would call on the other boys to read, they would kind of clam up. They would go into a shell. I saw this in the 3rd grade. I was like, whoa. Also, a lot of the boys where I grew up thought it was cool to be around the gangbangers, to be around people who were smoking weed. They thought that that stuff was cool. So growing up, I was able to kind of see it with my own eyes. So when I see those young men now as an adult, it helps me relate to them. It helps me to relate to what they're thinking and their thought process. Because a lot of these boys don't really want to, be illiterate. What they want is to be accepted. What they want is to be cool. Now, working in human services, you're going to see a lot of these types of things. You're going to see a lot of types of barriers that your clients are going to have. And you're going to have to know how to relate to them. And the best way to relate to your clients is to look into your own past. Look at the things that you had to go through. Look at the hardships that you had to overcome. Look at some of the obstacles that you had to overcome. Even being here today, I'm quite sure a lot of you have people who are your friends, people who are your family, that are, I'd say, a little jealous of you because you've made the decision to come back to school. And they may even put a little pressure on you because you made the decision to come back to school. What I'd like to tell you in that aspect is, don't let that deter you from your goal. Your goal is graduation. That's your goal. So don't let what someone else's opinion of you be, whether it be friends, family, whether it be people you grew up with in the hood, whether it be people that think that you think you're better than them because you're going back to school. All of that stuff is secondary. The goal is, for you, is graduation. And again, I remember when I was sitting in that seat, the furthest thing from my mind was graduation. That was the furthest thing from my seat, from my mind. What I was thinking about was just making it out of the class, making, getting a good grade in the class. That was my thought. I was like, can I get a good grade in this class? But I want to promise you that if you keep coming back to school, if you keep going over to the computer center, if you keep putting in that hard work, graduation is going to come before you know it. It's going to come faster than you know. Before you know it, you're going to have on that cap and gown, and it's going to be one of the proudest days of your life. So again, keep coming in, keep putting in the work. Again, it's going to pay off. Now, when I did graduate from high school, though, like I was saying, when I did graduate from high school, I had a friend. His name was Tyrone. I met Tyrone in the 3rd grade, but Tyrone was quick in the 3rd grade, But somehow he managed to gangbang and make it all the way to graduation at Dominguez High School. I don't know how he did it. He was a nice guy, too. He was a nice guy, but he was still banging. But for somehow he made it all the way to graduation day. So graduation, and like I say, he was my friend, too. Even though I didn't gangbang, he was my friend, and he was a nice guy. He had a type of personality that the teachers liked him. He had a lot of girlfriends on campus. He was popular. He wasn't a bad kid. It's just that he was beating people up and shooting people on the weekends. He was a gangbanger. So, graduation night. We graduate from high school, right? Graduation night, we're planning on going to a party. And Tyrone had to stop and get gas at the Arco station right on Atlantic and Alondra. A lot of you people know where that is. Right there is it's a crip game called Atlantic Drive. And he stopped at that AM/PM to get gas. Well, some blood was following Tyrone that day. And when they pulled into the AM/PM, he saw them. He knew they were coming to get him. So he jumped under the car. He jumped under the car, under the wheels. He's hiding under the car. And these guys ran up with the AK-47, put the AK-47 under the car, and just sprayed under the car, just filled it full of holes. One day after graduation. Well, not even one day. It was the same day. It was that night. We graduated that day, and then that night, right before the party, this guy was gunned down. So when I saw this, as a young man, it hurt me. When I saw this, also, I grew up in, my mother was an alcoholic. I grew up in an abusive home, and, my neighborhood was just crap. I was fed up with Compton. I was fed up. I really was. You couldn't have got me to the recruiting office faster after my friend got shot. You couldn't have got me to the recruiting office. The recruiting office was right in Carson. So I get to the recruiting office, and I tell him, I just want out of here. I want out of here. He's like, well, what do you want to do with your life? I told him, I don't care, man. I just want to get out of here. I could have went to school anywhere. I had pretty decent grades, but I just was running from where I lived. So I joined the Navy right after high school. I turned 18 on the 9th of June, so I didn't need my mother's permission. I went down and joined, and I was in boot camp in November. And when I was in boot camp in the Navy, again, everything is on the merit system, so when you do well, you get rewarded. And as a kid, that's what always motivated me. You do well, you get that pat on the back. Hey, you did great. I love to hear that from my teachers, from my instructors at boot camp. So that motivated me to always do well. Well, one thing that I didn't do so well, and that most people in the military don't do so well, is when we get away from home, it is difficult for us to learn how to deal with pressure. The pressure of being on deployment, the pressure of being away from your family, the pressure of not being able to control things at home when you're gone. The majority of veterans, like myself, are alcoholics. The majority. Because that's how we learn how to cope with being gone. That's how we learn how to cope with being on deployment. That's how we learn how to cope with being in the war zone. I'm also a Gulf War veteran. So that's how we learn how to cope with these things, because when you're a young man, you need to learn coping skills, but those skills aren't necessarily taught to you, because you're pretty much taught to go to war. You're pretty much taught to defend the country. You're really not taught how to deal with situations at home, situations that you can't control. You're not taught how to deal with the unknown. So I started drinking, I'd say right at 18 years old. Right at 18, right when I joined the Navy. I went on my first deployment, and that was it. But even though I was drinking, I was still fairly successful. I was still fairly able to do a lot of things while in the Navy. I was, on my first ship, I was Sailor of the Year my first year on the ship. So I did well when I was there. I also received a Navy Achievement Medal while on board USS George Phillips. And a Navy Achievement Medal for someone in the Navy is like, it's like the Grammys to a singer, or an Emmy to an actor. Once a year they have these awards, and the best of the best get this award. So again, I was fairly successful, but alcohol doesn't really care about how successful you are. It just wants you to go and take a drink, So even through my time in the Navy, I'm 8.5 years in. I'm a Gulf War veteran, decorated, and again, I loved my time in. The reason why I got out was because of family pressures. Family pressures. Because I loved the Navy and I wanted to stay, but there was a lot of pressure for me to get out. So once I got out, I really didn't have much to do with my time, but I still wanted to have that feeling of success. So I started running like crazy. Running. I literally would just run right here in Long Beach, sometimes 6 miles a day from 1st Street all the way to Seal Beach, and then from Seal Beach back to 1st Street. So that would be about anywhere from, that would be about 13 miles. Yeah, 13 miles. I just would just run. And I completed 4 marathons, including the Long Beach Marathon, which they had yesterday. And again, it's a wonderful feeling to have accomplishment. But even those things didn't satisfy me. Those things didn't satisfy me. What really satisfied me was helping people, for one. And when I was in the Navy, I got the opportunity to help many people. So that was satisfying to me. Okay. Now, what I do now is I advocate for veterans. And that is what is really fulfilling for me. But how did I get to being an advocate for veterans? I'd like everyone to pull out this flyer here. This is the flyer where I work today. And where I work today literally saved my life. Where I work today literally saved my life. I went to the VA in December of 2010 because I couldn't stop drinking. I started drinking at age 18 years old, and I was 40 years old, and I couldn't stop drinking. No matter what I did, no matter how many miles I ran,